I'm not defensive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another breaking news video. First things first, make sure you smash up the like, subscribe if you're new around here, and as always, get your thoughts in the comments. And it has been a Monday madness in regards to outgoings at Chelsea. The big breaking news is Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall to Everton is here we go. Plus, we've got Lesley Ugochukwu also making the move to Burnley on a permanent basis as well, with Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall expected to join Dortmund permanently as well. 3 outgoings gathering serious pace in the space of one day. Nobody sells players quite like Chelsea. But let's get straight into this one. Obviously, earlier this afternoon, we had the news that, Everton had made an approach, an official bid for Dewsbury-Hall. You're sort of thinking, all right, yeah, that's going to take a little bit of time, a few days to sort of have discussions, back and forth negotiations. Well, no, within 2 or 3 hours of that first initial news breaking, here we are, bang, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall to Everton, here we go, permanent deal agreed with Chelsea and player side. Understand fee is worth 25 mil fixed plus add-ons up to 28-29 million total package. Dewsbury-Hall, Ugochukwu and Chukwuemeka all leaving Chelsea on permanent deals. Look, Dewsbury-Hall to get best part of what we got back is what we paid in the first place is pretty good going after 1 year. I think we were all surprised when Chelsea signed Dewsbury-Hall for £30 million from Leicester. I don't think many of us quite understood why we did it or what really the reasoning was. But I have to be real, he grew on me towards the end of the season, and he actually ended up being someone who contributed to the team and made a useful contribution, I wish him nothing but the best. Model pro, never moaned about lack of game time, always gave 110% when he played, always made the most of the opportunities that he was given. Played a big part in the Conference League campaign, was an important part of the squad for the Club World Cup as well. This guy is far too good to be barely playing, and he leaves Chelsea as a world champion. I mean, what more could you really ask for? And I think we have to be totally real here. He probably wasn't good enough for the level that we require. He could have stayed and Chelsea would have been happy for him to stay. But ultimately, at 26 years of age, going on 27, this guy needs to be going to play regular football. And he's too good to not be playing regularly in the Premier League. And Everton, I think, is a great move for him. I think they've got themselves a smashing player, a top pro, someone who works hard, someone with an eye for goal, and it's going to make a big difference to their midfield. And I think they've actually got him for a really decent price as well, So, yeah, Dewsbury-Hall to Everton, he's out. He is out. And yeah, that sort of came from nowhere, really. We knew that Everton were interested in January. There were loose murmurings about, Dewsbury-Hall potentially leaving this summer. Fulham made a inquiry for him. And Chelsea have always said they're not actively looking to sell, but if a decent offer comes in, they take it. And I think really what we've got here is probably the top end of what you can look at getting for Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. I don't really think you're going to be able to get that much more from him. And hopefully he gets the starts that he deserves at Everton. An exciting project, new stadium. David Moyes as a manager should be a regular starter there, a big part of what they're looking to do and how they're looking to push forward. So, yeah, I wish him nothing but the best at Everton and for the remainder of his career. And he'll always get a warm welcome at Chelsea, in my opinion, certainly from me. But Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall to Everton, done. He will no longer be a Chelsea player. Farewell, my world champion. KDH Hive, over and out. Moving away from Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, because another midfield player is going to be leaving Chelsea on a permanent basis. And we've got our friends at Burnley to thank once again. Not only did they come in for Amanda Broja, they have now come in for Lesley Ugochukwu. He will be leaving Chelsea and join Burnley on a permanent deal. Ugochukwu is accepted as well, as reported by David Ornstein. Agreement done with both players. Chelsea are moving fast on outgoings. We are moving fast on outgoings. It's almost like we've stocked up these outgoings and we're just releasing them all at once a couple of weeks before the Premier League season begins. I actually think Burnley are getting themselves a really good player here. A really good player. You know, he's going to fill that number 6 role for them nicely. Someone who shows that they are able to play in the Premier League. You know, they're comfortable at this level, having shown what he can do at Southampton in a poor side. I think he's going to be an underrated transfer for them. They've got themselves a really good player on their hands, and it's a really good signing for Burnley. In terms of how much money we're going to get, there's been no news on a fee for Ugochukwu, but you've got to imagine we paid, 23.2 million for him a couple summers ago. You've got to imagine, again, it's in and around that £20 million mark. You have to imagine it's around that £20 million mark. I can't see it being any less than that. I really can't. And that would represent another brilliant deal. You're looking at best part of, let's say it's 20 for Broja. Let's say it's 20 for Ugochukwu. And it's 25 fixed for Dewsbury-Hall. That's £65 million for Broja, Ugochukwu and Dewsbury-Hall. That is not bad going at all. And I think, that's really got to be stood up and applaud that. This again coming from nowhere. There were very little links with Ugochukwu and outgoings. I think the only thing we had earlier this summer was that I think it was Valencia and German side Hamburg had made loan inquiries. Other than that, there was no one. And so, again, for this to sort of seemingly come out of nowhere, obviously negotiations were going on behind the scenes in silence, but for it to seemingly appear out of nowhere is a really welcome surprise. And again, Ugochukwu, another player, unfortunately, who was signed with a lot of promise, but it didn't really work out for him. I think he made 15 appearances under Mauricio Pochettino. He looked promising in pre-season under Maresca, had scored a couple of goals. But let's be real, he was never going to make it at Chelsea. He wasn't really going to make it at Chelsea. There were just too many players in front of him. And, what is interesting here is, and I think other clubs can take a leaf out of the Chelsea book here, is that Chelsea are not, they won't think once. We won't hesitate at all to move players on if it's not working out. We won't hesitate at all, and this is probably why this trading model, this player trading, will continue to work, because when players sign for Chelsea, there's always going to be 3 options for them. Make it at Chelsea, go to Strasbourg, or you get sold quickly if it doesn't work out. That is basically the reality here. Those are the 3 options for players when they sign for Chelsea. And the reason why we're so good at selling players and why we're able to move these players on, despite having multiple years left on their contracts, is because of the wage structure, because these guys aren't on stupid wages. Look at the players we are struggling to get rid of this summer. Raheem Sterling and Ben Chilwell on ridiculous wages and at the older end of the scale in terms of the players we've got in the squad. Look at how we're not struggling to find suitors for players on relatively low wages at the ages of 21, 22, 23. There is plenty of miles left on the clock for these kind of players, and they're talented, and it's why clubs are interested in taking those players, And this way, this player trading, I'm not sure if it will always be the case, but because of a lack of revenue from Stamford Bridge compared to other sides in the top 6, we have to close the gap in other ways. And one of the ways we're looking to close the gap in terms of the revenue gap is by signing players for cheap and selling them on for a profit. We're getting that Champions League money now. We've seen what the Champions League football has done. Yes, we sell a lot of players, but not one key player has been sold. So you can criticize this model, but ultimately right now it's working. Whether it's sustainable long term, and this will always be the case at Chelsea, it remains to be seen, and we will have to wait and see what happens. But certainly, never doubt Chelsea in terms of outgoings. I've said it time and time again when people have been concerned, the outgoings are a bit slow. Never worry about Chelsea and outgoings, because we will always sell players. And here we are, 2 in a day with a 3rd on the way in Carney Chukwuemeka. Plus you've got Nkunku to go still. Sterling, Chilwell, Disasi, Vega, Tyreek George. Another 6 that we could sell. Life is good as a Chelsea fan, and this transfer window has been absolutely unbelievable so far with the business that we've done on the players that we're selling, and long may that continue. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the latest Chelsea outgoings. Make sure you smash up the like, subscribe if you're new, and of course leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you lot again in another video soon. Up the Chelsea, and we're out. Peace.